Learn how to crochet a cozy and stylish headband with this chunky ear warmer crochet pattern. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to crochet this quick and easy winter headband from start to finish. This pattern is available to view on my website for free, and there's a link to that free pattern in the description below this video. For this pattern, you can use any size 5 bulky yarn. For a hook size, use an eye hook. You'll also need stitch markers, a yarn needle, scissors, and a measuring tape. To start, we're going to make a slip knot. Place your slip knot on your hook and pull tight. Now we're going to chain 58. 1, 2, 3. You go ahead and chain 58 and come back to the video. With your 58 starting chains now made, we're going to begin row 1. We are going to work into the second chain from the hook. Here's the first chain, here's the second. And whenever we work into these starting chains, we're always going to be working under the top loop. Working into the second chain from the hook under the top loop, we are going to single crochet. In the second chain from the hook under the top loop, single crochet. You may find it helpful to place a stitch marker in the top of the first stitch made in every row. We are now going to begin the repeat portion of the row. The first step in our repeat is to skip the next chain. Here's the next chain. We are not working into that chain. We're going to be working into the next chain. And into this next chain, we are going to make 2 stitches, both in the same chain. First, a single crochet and then a double crochet, all in this chain and always working under this top loop. Skip the next chain. In the next chain, single crochet. And still working into the same chain, double crochet. These are the steps we're going to repeat all the way across the row. Here's the next chain. We're going to skip this chain, work into the next chain, into this next chain, single crochet. Still in the same chain, double crochet. And this is all we're doing all the way across. Skip the next chain. In the next chain, single crochet. Still in the same chain, double crochet. You go ahead and repeat those steps all the way across the row. I'm almost finished repeating those steps all the way across. At the end of the row, nothing special happens. We're still repeating those same steps. As you can see here, I worked in the third last chain, and this is where I've made my single and double crochet stitches. I have 2 chains left. I'm still repeating those same steps. Here's the second last chain, and as per our repeat, we skip the next chain, and then we work into the very last chain, and into this last chain, single crochet, and double crochet. At the end of row 1, you should have a total of 57 stitches. This last double crochet is our last or 57th stitch, and this first single crochet where we placed a stitch marker is our first. When counting my stitches, I find it easier to count these 2 stitches and count in multiples of 2. So I'm just putting this first stitch aside for a second and counting in 2, and then we'll add this 1 stitch to our total stitch count. So when we count our stitches, here's a single crochet, and here's a double crochet. And I'm going to come back to this stitch, but we're going to start here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, plus this first stitch is 57. I recommend waiting to measure your work until you've completed row 4, as your work can fluctuate at the start. We are now going to start row 2, and row 2 is what we're going to be repeating for the rest of the pattern. To start row 2, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn. We're going to start by working into the very first stitch. This is the top of the last double crochet stitch we made in the previous row. Into this first stitch, we are going to single crochet. This single crochet is the first stitch made in the row, and you may find it helpful to place a stitch marker in the top of this first stitch. Now we're going right into the repeat portion of the row. First step in our repeat is to skip the next stitch. Let's take a close look at what stitch we are going to be skipping. The next stitch is the top of a single crochet stitch. You can see it's a little smaller than the double crochet stitch next to it. We are going to be skipping the tops of single crochet stitches. The only exception to this is when we get to the very last stitch of the row. In the meantime, whenever you see the top of a single crochet stitch, we are going to skip it. We're going to work into the next stitch. This is the top of a double crochet stitch. Working into this double crochet stitch, we are going to make a single crochet stitch, and still working into the same stitch, make a double crochet stitch. And these are the steps we're going to repeat all the way across. We are skipping the next stitch. Here's the next stitch. You can see it's much smaller than the following stitch. Here's the top of a single crochet. We are skipping over this stitch. Working into the next stitch, the larger top of a double crochet stitch, and into that stitch, single crochet, and double crochet. Now we skip the next stitch, working into the next stitch, single crochet, and in the same stitch, double crochet. You go ahead and repeat those steps all the way across the row. I'm almost finished working all the way across. I have 2 stitches left to work into. Nothing special happens at the end. We're still repeating the same steps. As you can see, I've worked into the third last stitch and made my single and double crochet stitches. And now we skip the second last stitch. We don't work into this second last stitch, but we are going to work into the last stitch. This is a stitch with the stitch marker, so we can now remove this marker. And into this last stitch, single crochet, and in the same stitch, double crochet. At the end of this row, once again, you should have 57 stitches. This last double crochet stitch is our 57th stitch. And the first single crochet where we place the stitch marker is our first. The chain one we made at the very start of the row does not count as a stitch. Once again, I'm going to count my stitches in groups of 2. Here's a single crochet stitch, and here's a double crochet stitch. I'm just going to put this starting stitch aside temporarily as I count in groups of 2. Starting with these 2 stitches, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, plus this first stitch is 57. For rows 3 to 10, you're going to repeat what we just did and repeat row 2. On the screen are measurements of what your work should be measuring after specific rows. If your work is measuring differently, start again with either a different hook size or a different number of starting chains. And the instructions for how to adjust the size is included in the written pattern. You are welcome to repeat row 2 more or less times. And you can end after any row. In case it's helpful, let's do row 3 together and repeat row 2. To start, we chain 1 and turn. Working in the first stitch, single crochet. Place a stitch marker in the top of that first stitch. Go right into the repeat where we skip the next stitch. In the next stitch, single crochet and double crochet. And we repeat those steps all the way across. One more time together. Skip the next stitch. Working in the next stitch. Single crochet and double crochet. And you do that all the way across the row. At the end of the row, nothing special happens. We skip the second last stitch, and in the last stitch we first remove the stitch marker, and in this last stitch, single crochet and double crochet. You go ahead and repeat row 2 for now rows 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. After finishing row 10, or after reaching your desired height, come back to the video. For the rest of this video tutorial, you will see a different ear warmer. I'm reusing footage from my simple ear warmer pattern because it's easier for you to see what I'm doing, but the instructions are exactly the same. Now that I'm finished row 10 and I've reached my desired height, we're now going to fasten off. We can now remove our hook, and we're going to cut the yarn that's attached to our skein, and we want to leave an approximate 12-inch long tail. We're going to be using that tail to sew our ear warmer. Cut your yarn, leaving it a 12-inch long tail. Now pull the tail through the loop that was on your hook and pull tight. We're now going to turn our work. Now our ending tail is on the right, in the top right corner. My starting tail is on the left, but it doesn't matter if your starting tail is on the right. We are now going to weave in this starting tail. Don't weave in the ending tail, just weave in the starting tail. A quick note is what we're looking at right now is going to be on the outside or front of the ear warmer when we're finished assembling it. With your yarn needle, weave in your starting tail. We are now ready for assembly. We've turned our work, the ending tail is at the top right. Now put your yarn needle on the ending tail. And we're just going to leave this aside for the moment. We are going to fold the ends toward the middle. Just take an end, fold it towards the middle, and then do the same with this end. Now we're going to take the left end and make it into a C. Then take the right end and make it into a backward C. Now we're going to interlock these two ends with the top of the backward C being at the very top and the bottom of the regular C at the bottom. Bring them together and you're going to interlock them like this. Here's the left end as a C, and here's the right end as a backward C, and they're interlocked. Now we're going to hold these 4 layers together, and with our yarn needle and the 12-inch long ending tail, we're going to sew them all together. I'm going to start by going through 3 layers. Here's my ending tail right here on my yarn needle. I'm going through the first layer, second layer, and the third layer, and pulling my yarn through. Now I'm going to go back up through all 4 layers. Now go back down through all 4 layers. And back up. And you're going to go down and up all the way across, working through all 4 layers. I'm almost through working all the way across. I'm going to go one more time. And it's okay if you don't have this 3rd layer to work into, but we do want this part here to be sewn to this part here. So I'm just going to keep going. Now that I've gone all the way across, I'm going to go back towards the start and do the exact same thing. Go down through all 4 layers and then up. And I'm going within an inch of the bottom when I'm weaving my yarn through. It doesn't need to be too close to these edges, but you don't want to go too far away. Try to keep it within an inch from the ends. And now I've just sewn back to the start. Before we weave in this end, let's turn our work inside out so the front of the twist is on the outside. I'm going to take my yarn needle off momentarily. Here's our 4 layers sewn together, and simply just turn your work inside out. Now that I've turned it inside out, you can see this nice twist here at the front. While we still have our ending tail, what we can do is continue sewing, and this is optional, only if you'd like to do this. We can keep sewing so that this front part covers the inside a little more to ensure this bump is concealed. So to do this, I'm just going to use my yarn needle and the ending tail, picking up right where I left off, put it through the piece so it comes out the front. Try to make it look as natural as possible, following along with the stitches, meaning not to go right over here, but just go nice small stitches. And then you can use this ending tail to sew the front to the back piece so that back bump stays hidden. And this is again optional. There, I think that looks a lot better. And then you can turn it around and do the same with this piece, just sewing it onto the front of the back piece here. My end is right here, so in order to bring it back up to the top, I may just go through the bump along the back that no one's going to see, just to bring my end up closer to where I want to sew it. Now my end is right here at the top. So once again, I'm just going to come through the back and then put my yarn needle through the front. And sew the front onto the back piece. And I think that looks great. And the last step is to weave in this ending tail to the inside of your work. And now you have a new chunky ear warmer. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoy making this ear warmer pattern. If you have any questions or if there's anything at all I can do to help, please let me know. If you enjoyed this tutorial, I'd be delighted if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.